Okay, for a quick tips and tricks, are shadow cards considered in play? No, they are not. The only cards that are in play are player cards, encounter cards in the staging area, or engaged with you. A shadow card is not in play. You're only reading the text from the shadow card and applying it to the attack. All right, on to the video. All right, here we go. The Dread Realm. I'm not even worried. After Karn Doom, how bad could this be? All right, 1A, the Catacombs of Karn Doom. Set Decanar, sure, and the Altar of Midwinter aside out of play. Each player reveals an encounter card from the top of the encounter deck, and then each player reanimates the top card of his deck. So let's set those two cards aside, and we got to do it right. So let's go through our heroes first, do everything in the right order. New hero to the series, Mablung. I love this guy. 10 threat, tactics 2/2/2/4. In response, after you engage an enemy, add a resource to Mablung's resource pool. He is also a Gondor and a Ranger. His ability is limit once per phase and will be engaging enemies in multiple phases. We also are bringing Spirit Glorfindel. We've seen him. 5 threat, 3/3/1/5. Noldor Noble Warrior. And then after he exhausts to commit to the quest, raise your threat by 1. I just needed a low threat Spirit Hero. And this quest gave us Arwen Indomiel. I guess I'll try her. I don't know if she's any good. So she's 9 threat. 3 willpower, 1 attack, 2 defense, 3 hit points. Noldor Noble. Action, discard a card from your hand to add 1 resource to a Noldor's hero's resource pool or to Aragorn's resource pool. Limit once per round. Obviously, I'm kidding. She's amazing. She is absolutely a top tier hero, and I'm going to have to really try not to just use her from here on out because she's so good. I also have this alt art that Splice gave me. Barwin, cousin of Arwen. It's tempting to use this amazing art, but I think I'll stick with the regular version. Thank you, Splice, for that card, I guess. Okay. All right, let's give the deck a shuffle. We need to draw our opening hand before we reveal the encounter card and before we reanimate the top card of our deck. All right, a weapon, an ent. Hey, Elven Light, I needed that. Ooh, some questing power and 2 Elven Spears. Yes, I will definitely keep this hand. Elven Light is one of the 2 cards I really needed to see. I also needed to see a Defender. Now, even though that ent will come in exhausted, I just needed to know I will be getting a Defender on the table. Okay, so now we need to reveal the encounter card. So let's give the encounter deck a shuffle. The order of operations here is really important because stuff could happen to our deck based on the cards in the encounter deck here. And there we go, perfect example. Terror of the North. I have to discard the top 3 cards of my deck, and we get +2 threat for each type of card discarded this way. And I make a mistake here. I don't realize that it says until the end of the round, and technically this would add the threat in the first quest phase. So let's look at what we got here. Oh, Light of Valinor, man. Okay, but it was 2 attachments and an ally. So there should be 4 threat in staging right now. Okay, so now we have to reanimate the top card of our deck, which means we take the card, we put it face down, and then I'm putting a 2 on there because when we flip to side 1B, we'll explain what that is. It's basically an enemy, so that's why Mablung's getting a resource. That's why I picked him for this quest. So side 1B is 18 progress, and then reanimated dead are undead enemies with a stat line of 2, 2, 2, and 2 hit points. When we advance to stage 2, all sorcery cards that are attached to this stage are going to carry over and be attached to stage 2B. So I picked Mablung because these reanimated dead often engage you outside of the engagement phase, so his ability gets to trigger quite a bit. Okay, let's draw our first card. Oh, wow. Okay, Light of Valinor. I'll take it. That's great. I was kind of assuming I wasn't going to see that for a while. So everyone gets a resource. However, I already added that to Glorfindel, so he doesn't exhaust a quest now. I'm going to discard a card to Arwen's ability and add a resource to her resource pool, and I will use her 2 resources to pop in an Aether Swordsman. So he will be questing for 2. So there's her 2 resources. Now I'm going to pop in these 2 Elven Spears. These are new to the progression series. So you attach it to a Noldor or Sylvan hero. It's restricted, and you can discard a card from your hand to give the attached hero +1 attack until the end of the phase. Limit 3 times per phase. And this card's amazing in a deck that has Elven Light because you can trigger that ability in any phase, even if you don't need to do any attacking. It just gives you a reason to discard Elven Light. I'll explain what Elven Light does in a little bit. Let's play this Dingle Warrior. So because Mablung got a second resource from engaging that reanimated dead, I can put in a 2-cost Defender on turn 1. So that's part of the strategy to beat this quest. He comes in exhausted, and when he defends, I can deal a damage to him to boost his defense by 3. Alright, so I have pretty much spent all my money, and I only have 1 card left in my hand. Now remember, there should be 4 threat in staging already. So this isn't going to matter as far as progress goes later on in the quest, but it does make my threat have to be 1 more for the rest of the game. So I do apologize for that mistake. The card we revealed is a 2-threat location because it gets +1 threat for each reanimated dead in play. I do get that right in a minute here. So I sent 5 on the quest, and I'm up against 6 threat. So I should not have placed any progress. Again, it's not going to matter later on, but my threat should be 1 higher because I actually underquested by 1. You know, one of the goals of this whole series is to help players play. So I hope when I make mistakes like that, it helps other players look at cards a little harder than I do sometimes. End of the round versus end of the phase. All right, Mablung's going to defend. There's no shadow, so it was 2 against 2. And then the reason I didn't send Arwen on the quest is because with her 1 attack, she and Glorfindel can swing together and kill this enemy, and my reanimated card was a defender, which I would have liked to have gotten in play. So now he's in my discard pile. All right, so end of the round, everyone gets 1 resource, and everyone's ready, including my Dingle Warrior. And we get Will of the West, which is a card that you really try to play as fast as possible in this quest. You really don't want cards in your discard pile. Speaking of cards in my discard pile, we have Elven Light. It is a 1-cost spirit event. It can only be played from your discard pile, and when you return it to your hand by spending that 1 resource, you get to draw a card. And the card we drew is the Riddermark's Finest. I will now discard it to Arwen's ability and get a resource rate back. So that was a net of 0. I have a Tactics resource, so let's put this Dagger of Westernays. Actually, I'm going to put it on Mablung because I have attachments that are weapons that can only go on Noldor characters, so Mablung can hold the daggers. So now he's attacking for 3, 4 if the enemy has a higher engagement cost. So I do have that Riddermark's Finest, so I think I will hold on to it though. I'm going to bring the Elven Light back into my hand by spending a resource, and the card it drew for me was Elrond's Counsel, which is wonderful. So let's drop my threat back down 3, and it's going to give +1 willpower to somebody. The active location is 7 freaking progress. It's really annoying. So I gave that extra willpower to the Aether Swordsman, and we're going to be sending a total of 9. And the card we reveal is, okay, it's Restless Evil. So each undead enemy gets a boost to their stats, but if there is no undead enemies, you surge it, and it surges into a Cursed Dead. So that one's pretty nasty because it pulls out all the other Cursed Dead in the discard pile if there were any. So this Restless Evil also sticks around to the end of the round. It's a static effect. So all of the undead enemies are boosted to the end of the round. But I do make enough progress to clear that 7 progress location, which is really great. I didn't think that was going to happen. So that was a 2-threat enemy, and I'm not going to engage it. It's boosted right now, so I don't want to engage it. My threat is way below it, so we're okay there. The Aether Swordsman loses his willpower boost. And we're going to go into the next round. So everyone's going to get some money. And let's see what card we draw. The card we draw is, a Bag of Matham. Okay, well, that's 1 turn too late. I would have liked to have played that last round and drew 3 cards after attaching it to the active location. All right, I'm putting that token on there to remind me when I use Arwen's ability. So I just used it. I grabbed a resource. I spent the resource by pulling Elven Light back into my hand. And the card Elven Light drew me was a Dingle Warrior. Let's spend 2 spirit resources to put in the Riddermark's Finest, so it can quest for 1, it can attack for 1 as 2 hit points, and then you can exhaust and discard it to place 2 progress on any location, which is going to be very helpful at the end of the game. So that's why those are in this deck. So I have the Riddermark's Finest in play, going to give me a little questing power or attack boost if I need it. All right, we're going to send 8 against 1, and encounter side quest. Here we go. The Power of Agmar, 8 progress surge. Cards in a player's discard pile cannot leave the discard pile. When the stage is defeated, shuffle the top 5 cards of your discard pile into your deck. Well, that shuts down Elven Light. All right, we need to clear that ASAP, but it's going to surge. Let's see what we surge into. Okay, it is, oh gosh, Dark Sorcery. It's a sorcery treachery. Doom 2, when revealed, discard each ally that contains the same title as a card in your discard pile. Oh my gosh, that is so bad in this quest because with those reanimated dead, you're constantly putting cards in your discard pile. Luckily, it doesn't trigger on me right now, but geez, oh Pete's, that is why I put Test of Will into this deck. That is a treachery that you almost have to plan on canceling later on in this quest. Just terrible. All right, I do make a bunch of progress, so that's nice. It should be a little less than what we see. I am going to engage this guy, so I do get +1 resource on Meblung. The Durndingle Warrior is going to defend. It's 3 against 2, and the shadow is if this attack destroys a character. Okay, it's not going to because I'm going to damage the Durndingle, and you can think about it either way. Either I just boosted his defense by 3, or he just took a damage. Either way, I can kill this cursed dead. Also, Glorfindel should not be exhausted. I don't know why I exhausted him. He has Light of Valinor. Okay, so that guy's dead, but he could come back if I reveal another one, which is a very high probability of happening since I think there's 5 of those guys in this deck. All right, next round. So right now, I can't do any Elven Light tricks. I can't add it to the discard pile through Arwen's ability and then get it back. I only can discard it. It can't come back right now. Okay, so I drew Foehammer, which is great. It's card draw. I really need to draw a lot of cards for this deck to work. And there are a lot of cards I need to see, but luckily with Elven Light and Arwen, you can basically guarantee 2 cards a round, which is great. So obviously we're going to quest against this Power of Agmar side quest, and we're going to quest pretty hard. So there, with Glorfindel's 3, I'm going to be sending a total of 11, and we're currently against nothing. So let's see if we can make 8 progress. Okay, well, that didn't take long. So there's another cursed dead, so he brings back his buddy. So we got 2 cursed dead, and it is 2 against our 11. So we did it. That's great. I wasn't sure if I could do that in one round, but I did. So now we get to shuffle the top 5 back into my deck, which is really wonderful because I have 5. So shuffling your discard pile into your deck is a huge bonus to you as a player in this quest. So Will of the West is a big time card you want to play. You just either want to run a bunch of one-ofs where you don't have any duplicates of cards in your discard pile, or you just plan on having your discard pile shuffled back in. That is a definite pro tip to beat this quest. Alrighty, so we gave the deck a shuffle here. I wanted to shuffle it really good, and I'm going to engage one of those guys. My threat is still below theirs, and I do get a resource for doing that. And that reminds me, I never paid for that Durndingle Warrior that I put into play. So I still have 2 resources, but I did just spend the 2 I should have when I popped that guy in. Alrighty, he's attacking for 3. I'm going to use the damaged one to defend, and once again, the shadow doesn't matter. I'm going to take the damage so he isn't dead. Glorfindel swings for 3, and that's enough to kill this guy. I was tempting to keep him around, but I wanted to kill him because I have Foehammer. So let's play Foehammer, exhaust a weapon attached to the character who just killed somebody, and we get to draw 3 cards. So let's see what 3 cards we get. Some threat reduction. Ooh, another Aether Swordsman, and more Matham. Okay, I would love to see a location. All my locations are coming up as shadows, so I would love to trigger those ancient Mathams. Now I can do Arwen. So let's discard a card to Arwen. It's limit once per round, and I guess I will spend the resource to pull Elven Light back into my hand, and we will see what card that draws me. The card I get is, there we go. I needed that. The Power of Orthanc. So it's doomed to remove a condition attachment in play from whatever it's attached to. It's huge in this quest. I cannot imagine playing this quest without condition removal. You absolutely need to remove condition attachments. So now that I have that card, I'm feeling pretty safe. Okay, Dagger Westernaise is what I draw. So that's going to go on Mablung. He's swinging for 4. And yeah, I'm very, very happy that I drew that Power of Orthanc. There's 3 of them in this deck. Speaking of 3 of, I've now drawn 2 of my Aether Swordsmen. So they are each questing for 3. So that's 6 willpower right there. Arwen's going to trigger her ability and then gain a resource. And then I'm going to spend that resource and pull back the Elven Light that I used to trigger the ability. And that draws me a card. And, oh, there we go. Test of will. Okay, so now I have 2 ways to cancel these sorcery condition attachments. So that is really good. I'm going to trigger the Elven Spear and discard Elven Light and then spend a resource and pull it back into my hand. Okay, great. Another Defender of Ramas. Actually, it's my first one, right? The first one was reanimated. So this is actually one I actually get to play. So that's great. I have defenders on the table. I have ways to cancel sorceries. I have lots of attack. I have lots of willpower. I'm sitting good. Like, this is what this deck is supposed to do against this very difficult quest. So I'm feeling really good. Let's drop my threat back down by 3. Let's boost somebody's willpower. So we'll say it was that guy. So those 2 guys are questing for 7. There's 10. I don't know why I keep exhausting Glorfindel. I shouldn't. He's not exhausted. He's questing without exhausting. So I'm sending 10 against 1 right now. I'm going to send the Rittermark's Finest and make it 11. And then I decide to send Arwen and make it 14. And I pull back the Rittermark's Finest. I'm sure everybody does this kind of stuff where you kind of do the bouncing around. All right, speaking of like treacheries I don't want to deal with, when revealed, attach Death and Calamity to the current quest. Then the first player reanimates the top X cards of his deck, where X is the number of Death and Calamities attached to the current quest. Nope! Cancelled. We don't want any of these sorceries attached to the quest because they do carry over, and trust me, that's bad. Okay, so here's why it didn't matter that I underquested on that round 1. I just made a ton of progress, more than I needed, so the amount of progress that I accidentally added was just made up for right there. All right, 2A, Agmar Awakened. When revealed, add Decanar to the staging area, make the Altar of Midwinter the active location, returning any previous location to the staging area, and reanimate the top card of my deck. Alrighty, so we got the Altar of Midwinter here. All right, 5 threat, 9 progress, Karn Doom, Underground. While Decanar is in play, progress cannot be placed on the Altar of Midwinter. Forced, at the end of the staging step, the first player must either reveal 1 additional card from the encounter deck or reanimate the top card of his deck. So that's again why Mablung is so good in this quest. Alrighty, Decanar is a 1 engagement, 5 threat, 4 attack, 5 defense, 12 hit points, undead, Dunedain sorcerer, that sucks, cannot have attachments. He gets +1 attack for each sorcery card in play, and he gains indestructible, well, at least 1 sorcery card is in play, and then forced, when he is damaged, if there is at least 1 sorcery card in play, you cancel all that damage just dealt to him and discard the sorcery card instead. That's why you got to get rid of those things. That's why you cancel them, and that's why you use the power of Orthanc. All right, let's look at 2B. No progress needed. Reanimated Dead have the 2s for their stat line. And then once Decanar is defeated, you advance to stage 3. Okay, so I just got engaged by that Reanimated Dead. Now I'm getting engaged by Decanar, so that's 2 resources to Mablung, since it happened in 2 different phases. And then Decanar with a engagement of 1 is actually the highest engagement cost between the 2. And I have 2 attacks coming, but I have defenders on the table, so I'm not too worried. So the Durndingle will defend 4 against his 2. Attacking enemy gets +X, where X is the number of sorcery cards in play. A shadow card is not in play, so there are no sorcery cards in play. So I will damage him by 1, and he boosts his defense, so he doesn't take any damage from the actual attack. Attacking enemy gets +1, +3 if there is a copy of the defending character in the discard pile. There is not. But I do add another one of those stupid cursed deads to my encounter discard pile when that shadow gets discarded, so that's no good. All right, so I'm attacking for 1, 2. Mablung is 4 more, so that's 6. Glorfindel should be ready, so that is 9. And then I'm going to discard a card to the Elven Spear to boost his attack by 1. So that means I'm attacking for 10. So I'm actually going to mark that on the tracker here so I don't lose count. And then I can spend a resource and pull that Elven Light back. And I can discard it again, but I draw a card and I get Straight Shot. That's a nice card because there are enemies with 0 defense. And I'm going to discard a card to the Elven Spear again. So I end up attacking for a total of 11. Decanar has 5 defense, so that means 6 damage goes through, but for some reason I think it's 7. So you can either just assume I discarded another card to the spear, or later on you'll see it doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't know why I thought that was 7. That's not how math works. Okay, so let's go into the next round. Decanar has 7 out of 12 damage, and I'm engaged with 2 enemies. and I don't need to make progress because I can't. I can't place progress on that active location until Decanar leaves play. So let's see what I draw. Okay, another Foe Hammer. That's really good. That's really, really good. I just want to get cards in my hand right now. And it's frustrating that I have these Ancient Mathams and I really can't count on them to get me cards. Okay, I'm going to pull back that Elven Light. It draws me another Defender of Ramas, which I will play. I'm going to trigger Arwen's ability and discard the Elven Light. And then with that resource that I just gained, I'm going to spend it to pull back Elven Light. And let's see what I draw. I sure wish I had another copy of Elven Light. I get another straight shot. So that's if an enemy has 0 defense, you can exhaust a weapon and just discard it, which is great because there's 2 enemies in this quest that have 0 defense. I have a lot of cards, so that's why I was saying we could have just assumed I discarded an Ancient Matham or something to give me that 1 more additional attack. So that's just another mistake I made. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so like I said, I really don't need to quest for much because I can't make progress. So let's just send 6 Glorfindel and 1 Aether Swordsman. We'll quest for 6. I'm currently against 1. And the card we get, oh, this is really bad. Okay, so it's the Unholy Crypt. It's only a 2 threat. So I don't, raise my threat, but trust me, when I advance to stage 3, that is not the location I want in the staging area. That is really bad luck. Okay, I don't need to engage this guy, so I'm not, and we're going to have the Durndingle defend, and this is going to not kill him, so that's good. I just increased his defense by 3, and then I am going to defend with the Defender of Ramas, and it's another one of these Terror of the North. I have to discard the top 3 cards, plus 1 attack for each different card type. It's going to be a plus 2 attack. So he is attacking for 4, and for some reason I think that kills him, so I discard him. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm making these math mistakes, so I do apologize for them. Okay, so that was all the cards I have in my hand. Now I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. I think I'll have Mablung attack for 4, and he will kill this guy. And hey, Elven Light. Okay, that's really, really good. I was hoping to find an Elven Light with these Foe Hammer cards that I was just about to draw. So that's why I killed this guy first. I can trigger Foe Hammer and draw 3 cards. I was hoping to get Elven Light, but I don't. But man, I draw a bunch of willpower. That's so good. That's exactly what I needed. So I think I can wrap this up next turn. I didn't know if I was going to be able to because I might have just been a little short on willpower, but now I'm going to be okay. Alrighty, so everybody else swings. I need to do 1 more damage than what I've calculated, but I have Elven Spear, so I can discard cards. Arwen is ready. Glorfindel is ready. So they both can discard up to 3 cards each and boost their attack by 6. So even though I added that extra damage, it doesn't matter. I have plenty of cards to discard here, a whole handful of them. So Decanar is going to die, which means I'm going to advance to stage 3. And here you will see why having that 7 progress location and staging is not great. It's not something you really want. So 3A, Decanar's Fall, when revealed, if there's less than 1 location per player in the staging area, you would have added 1, but I have 1, so I don't need to do that. Reanimated Dead are 2s again, and basically what I need to do is clear all the locations in play. The quest card is going to help me out because progress that would be placed on this quest can be placed on locations in the staging area, and that's why having a 7 progress location in the staging area is not great. Because if at the end of the quest phase there is any locations in play, I got to deal 1 damage to each character, which is going to kill my Aether Swordsman, it's going to kill my defenders. It's bad. It's really, really bad. So I am so glad I drew that willpower. I think I was just planning on questing really hard, probably not making it, and then having to quest really hard again with my heroes to win. But now I have a great chance of just winning this round here. So remember, the Altar of Midwinter says after the staging step, I'm going to have to reanimate a card. So I don't want to add a card to staging. So what I really need to do is just play a lot of willpower and then hope I don't reveal a location. I just really hope I don't reveal a location. And gosh darn it, I drew another bag of Ancient Matham. It's just really frustrating. I drew all these Ancient Mathams and I really never had a good time to play them. Okay, so we are going to play this third Aether Swordsman, which is insane. They all quest for 4. And you might be thinking, I got really lucky finding all 3 Aether Swordsmen. Well, I never found any of my 3 copies of Goblin Cleaver, which really helps you defeat Decanar. So it's like you find a bunch of one card, but then you don't find any of another. And that's just how it works sometimes. You just have a shuffle fail for one card, but then you get very lucky for another card type. Alrighty, Arwen's ability, let me get a second Spirit Resource so I can put in the Handmaiden and drop my threat by 1. I decided not to keep a resource for a test of will. I'm just going full throttle, and I'm going to try to clear this right now. I'm keeping my Riddermark's Finest up in case I need to place 2 progress on a location. And again, I'm just really hoping I just reveal threat, not a location, and let's just try to win right here. So I am sending a lot. I am sending 24, so 24 against 2. The card we reveal is, another Surging side quest that does nothing right now, so it's the end of the refresh phase that triggers. So it just surges, and we're going to surge into, there we go, yes, a 3-threat enemy. So that is going to be a total of 5, but I need to trigger the effect on the Midwinter Altar, so I'm going to reanimate a card. That's going to boost the threat by 1 more, so I'm up against 6, and I sent 24. So 6 from 24 is 18, and I needed to place 9 and 7 between the 2 locations. So 9 plus 7 is 16. I sent 18. I still had Riddermark's Finest, so I could have done 2 more. So yes, I believe the math works out, and I got it. Yeah, I think that's a victory. I know I made some mistakes. I know the reason I made the mistakes is because I was rushing, trying to get this video done before I head out to Con of the Rings, because I wanted to finish the whole Agmar Awakened cycle before Con of the Rings happened, because I need to break down all of my decks to bring decks to the con. So if you're going to the con, I've already seen you by this point, and we had a lot of fun, and if you can go in any future years, I hope you do, and I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. The Agmar Awakened cycle is now complete, and we're going to move on to the Dream Chaser cycle. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.